Tonight on First at 9, this Tuesday, the 22nd of April 2025. Farewell to Pope Francis, the first Latin American pontiff to be laid to rest on Saturday, concluding his 12-year papacy. Archbishop of Colombo expresses deep condolences, emphasizing that Pope Francis's life and mission left behind a legacy rooted in love and advocacy for the marginalized. Easter attacks report. A new committee appointed to review the report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks. Gambling regulation. Sri Lanka to establish independent gambling monitoring authority for both on-land and offshore activities. Record run. Gold extends record run. Breaks above $3,500 per ounce, a more than 31% increase since the year began.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lanka Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwasi Dino Sensodyne, then Langamati Pharmacy in Labagata Hacker.
Kanta Parisan Karagatot? Api Parisan.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9, brought to you by the nation's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story, making headlines tonight, as the world mourned the passing of His Holiness Pope Francis, the Vatican announced that the funeral service will be held in St. Peter's Square this Saturday, the 26th of April. The Vatican also revealed that the cause of the pontiff's death was a stroke and a cardiac arrest. Meanwhile, as the Catholic Church prepares to elect the next Pope, the College of Cardinals listed Sri Lanka's Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, among the 12 most likely candidates to succeed Pope Francis.
His Holiness Pope Francis died unexpectedly yesterday at age 88, ending an often turbulent papacy in which he repeatedly clashed with traditionalists and championed the poor and marginalized. The Vatican also released photographs of Pope Francis dressed in his vestments and laid in a wooden coffin in the chapel of the Santa Marta residence. His remains will be taken into the adjacent St. Peter's Basilica tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. in Sri Lankan time, allowing the faithful to pay their final respects. His funeral service will be held in St. Peter's Square in the shadow of the Basilica on Saturday the 26th of April at 1:30 p.m. in Sri Lankan time. In a break from tradition, Pope Francis in his final testament has expressed his wish to be buried in Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major and not in the St. Peter's Basilica where many of his predecessors were laid to rest. He also revised the papal funeral rites, simplifying the traditional procedure. Meanwhile, today, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, expressing his condolences for the passing of Pope Francis, highlighted that the pontiff's interests went beyond the faith to conflicts, especially in Ukraine and Gaza, poverty, climate change, and other instances of injustice. The College of Cardinals, comprised of senior Catholic clergy, will elect the next pope, normally within 15 to 20 days after the death of a pontiff. There are currently 252 cardinals worldwide, but only those below the age of 80 can vote to elect a new pope in what is known as the papal conclave. Accordingly, 138 cardinals are eligible to participate in the secretive ballot. Meanwhile, the College of Cardinals released a list of 22 leading candidates to succeed Pope Francis. In the list, Sri Lanka's Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, is mentioned among the top 12 candidates, signalling growing recognition of his standing within the Catholic Church.
In 2019, Pope Francis spoke about the Easter Sunday attacks after a mass at the Vatican. The Pope repeatedly urged a thorough investigation into the attacks. His Holiness upheld the idea of serving justice to the victims of the Easter attacks until his last breath. I would like to urge all Catholics and Christians in Sri Lanka to pray for his soul. And I would also like to urge all of our brothers and sisters to engage in good deeds with compassion for the Pope. We wish him everlasting life in heaven.
ස්වර්ගීය දේව ජීවිතය ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance. චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙන් මන අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Now, a committee comprising 4 senior police officers has been appointed to study the report of the Presidential Commission that investigated the Easter Sunday terrorist attacks and to recommend further action. Meanwhile, during today's cabinet briefing, cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa was questioned about the government's failure to reveal the mastermind behind the Easter Sunday attacks, despite assurances previously given by President Anura Dissanayake.
The original Presidential Commission, chaired by Supreme Court Justice Janak De Silva, was appointed during the tenure of former President Maithripala Sirisena to investigate Easter Sunday bombings. The Commission's report was presented to then President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 1st of February 2021. Recently, the report was forwarded to the Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation by order of current President Anura Dissanayake. Consequently, a committee of 4 senior police officers was appointed to review the findings and determine next steps.
We
have now received the report. A special committee chaired by Senior DIG Asanka Karavita has been appointed to study it. The committee includes the DIG of the CID, the Director of the CID and the Director of the Terrorist Investigation Division. Several subcommittees have also been established to analyze different sections of the report, which comprises approximately 66,000 to 67,000 pages. The police will begin investigations shortly and take legal action against the individuals identified.
Meanwhile, during the cabinet briefing today, journalists questioned cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa on the progress of the investigation and recent comments made by the President.
වසර 6ක් වෙනවා. මේ අතරතුර දැන් ජනාධිපතිතුමා ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා මහා මොණකරු 21 වෙනිදාට ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා කියලා. මේ වෙනකන් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කිසිම හෝඩුවාවක්වත් නැහැ. දැන් විපක්ෂ නිතරම චෝදනා කරනවා පච ආණ්ඩුවක් කියලා. ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ මේ ප්‍රකාශات එක්ක තවදුරටත් රජය හැල්ලුවට පත් වෙනව නේද?
අපට විමර්ශනය කරන්න සිද්ධ වුණේ.
Although it's been 6 years, proper investigations only began in the past 6 months. For the previous 5.5 years, attempts were made to suppress the investigation. Several new individuals have been arrested recently and more will be questioned based on ongoing findings.
ඔබ ජනාධිපතිතුමා කිව්වහම 21 වෙනිදාට කලින් යම්කිසි තත්ත්වයක් ප්‍රකාශයක් මහා මොළකරු එළියට දානවා කියන තමයි රටම බලන් හිටියේ. ඔබතුමාලා මේ වාර්තාවක් CID එකට බාර දුන්නාම මේ රටක් බලාගෙන හිටපු කාරණේට දුන්නු පිළිතුර සෑහීමකටපත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
විශේෂයෙන් පාස්කු ඉරදින ප්‍රහාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන්
The Easter Sunday investigation is highly complex. New information is being uncovered. We should allow the CID and the courts to reveal the mastermind or the masterminds behind the attack.
අපි අපරාධ පක්ෂ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට බාර කරමු. ඒක උසාවියට බාර කරමු.
CID එකට report එක ඔයිට කලින් බාර දෙන්න තිබුණා නේ මම ජනාධිපති කාර්යාලයේ තියෙනවනම්. ඔබතුමා පිළිගන්නේ නැද්ද? මේ වෙලාවේදී ආණ්ඩුව අසමත් වුණා. 21 වෙනිදාට කලින් යම්කිසි දෙයක් කියන්නම් කියලා. නමුත් සැලකියුතුමක් කියාගන්න බැරි වුණා ජනාධිපතිතුමාට.
කවුරුත් කලබල වෙන්න එපා.
The Easter Sunday investigation is highly complex. New information is being uncovered. We should allow the CID and the courts to reveal the mastermind or the masterminds behind the attack.
සිද්ධ වෙනවා කියලා සහතික අපිට දෙන්න පුළුවන්.
දැන් තාමත් මූලික ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරේ හම්බුන්නේ නැහැ. ජනාධිපතිතුමා වගේ ප්‍රකාශයක් කළේ ඇයි? ඊට පස්සේ මේ වාර්තාව දුන්නේ ඇයි? ඒ ප්‍රකාශය කළේ මොන පදනමක් යට ඉඳගෙනද?
There's no need to panic. More distractions like Gaman Pillar's remarks will come, but the government remains focused. We assure the public that the investigation is being conducted properly.
ක්‍රියාවලිය මත
ඔබතුමා ප්‍රසිද්ධ රැස්වීමකදී කියනවා මේ ප්‍රහාරය යට ඉන්දියාව ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ බලයට එම දේශපාලන රැස්වීමක් කරන කතාවක්. අද ඔබ ඇමතිවරයා. තාමත් ඔබ ඉන්නවද ඒ ස්ථාවරේ?
විමර්ශනයට ඉඩ දෙන්න.
There's nothing wrong with the president's statement. The facts are being revealed step by step. The pace of the disclosure will be determined by the progress of the investigation.
පුළුවන්. ඒවා අපි විමර්ශනයට බාර දෙමු.
පිල්ලියන්ට එකම චෝදනාවක් කර තියෙනවද මේ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන්?
පිල්ලියන් ගැන ඔබ දන්නේ නගර විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ.
Let the investigation proceed. Whatever we may have said, whether true or false, will be revealed through the investigation. There are more allegations against him than the abduction of the Eastern University Vice-Chancellor. Evidence is now coming to light. 2 others have already been arrested based on that evidence. Anyone paying close attention to the situation will understand the implications of what Gammampila said after meeting him. He claimed Pillian has not yet revealed anything about the Easter Sunday attack.
ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙච්ච එකක්ද කියලා හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්කම ලැබෙනවා.
පිල්ලියන්ගේ ලේකම්වරයා අසාද් මෞලානා ඔහුව ලංකාවට ගේන්න තීරණයක් තියනවද? එහෙම මොනවා හරි කතා වෙලා තියනවද?
මේ විමර්ශනයට
We will not hesitate to bring in any individual from abroad or within the country who is connected to this investigation. That is under consideration.
සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න පැකිලෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ පිළිබඳවත් සලකා බලමින් ඉන්නවා.
Meanwhile, Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that Sri Lanka requires India's consent to disclose the contents of the Defence Cooperation Agreement signed during the recent visit of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Speaking at the Cabinet briefing today, he further noted that the details of the agreement signed during Prime Minister Modi's visit will be presented to Parliament in due course.
මෑතකදී ඉන්දියන් ප්‍රයිම් මිනිස්ටර් මෝඩි ආපු වෙලාවේ අපි ගිවිසුමක් අත්සන් කර ආරක්ෂා සහයෝගිතා ගිවිසුමක්. ඒකේ තියෙනවද මේ චීන පර්යේෂණ නැවට ලංකාවට එන්න බෑ කියලා මොනවාරි මේකත් තියෙන පරිච්ඡේදයක් තියෙනවද?
මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන්
We made a statement regarding this in Parliament. Mutual agreement is required to disclose such information. We intend to present it to Parliament in the future, although it may take some time.
කාලයක් ගත වේවි.
විශේෂයෙන්ම ඉන්සුලින් තව දවස් 10කට වගේ තමයි තියෙන්නේ කියලා ඖෂධ කාණ්ඩ 234ක වගේ හිගයක් තියෙනවා කියලා සෞඛ්‍ය කාර්ය මණ්ඩල ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
ඉදිරි මාස 4 සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කරන ඉන්සියුලින්
We distributed the required insulin for the next 4.5 months by mid-April. There is no need for concern. The current insulin supply is sufficient until September. However, there have been delays in placing orders for medicines in 2023 and 24 due to various challenges including political interference and administrative issues. As a result, shortages of some medicines may occur from time to time. We are working to maintain a buffer stock of essential medicines sufficient for 3 to 6 months through the Ministry of Health. Discussions are ongoing with several countries in this regard. Additionally, delays from suppliers have contributed to the issue.
නෝම් කිරීමට නොහැකි වීමේ ගැටලුවට අමතරව
රවි කරුණාක මහත්තයා මේ පෞද්ගලික මන්ත්‍රී යෝජනාවක් කරගෙන යනවා මේ සමාජ මන්ත්‍රී මත හොස කිරීම සම්බන්ධව ඔබතුමාලත් දැඩි මතයක හිටියා මේක සම්මත වෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන වර්තමාන ජනාධිපතිතුමත් ඒ අවස්ථාවේ පනත හොස කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයක් ගන්නවද?
පනත ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්න නම් කමිෂන්
For the act to come into effect, a committee must be appointed. This has not been done yet. The Ministry of Mass Media, the Ministry of Digital Economy and the Ministry of Public Security are jointly working on this matter. Many amendments have been proposed that could significantly alter the original intent of the act. We are considering all of these aspects before proceeding further.
බටලන්ද සම්බන්ධව දැන් පරීක්ෂණ කොහොමද ඒ වාර්තාව ඉදිරිපත් කරා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට මොකද දැන් වෙන්නේ කියලා පොඩ්ඩක්
ඊළඟ පියවරට යන්න තිබෙන්නේ.
We are now moving towards the next phase. Discussions are ongoing. One option is to forward it to the Attorney General. There is also one more day allocated for parliamentary debate on this matter.
අවුරුද්දකට වයස අවුරුද්දට වඩා අඩු දරුවන් 2000කට වැඩි සංඛ්‍යාවක් මේ යනවා කියලා ප්‍රජා සෞඛ්‍ය විශේෂඥයින් කියනවා. ඒකට එක්කම මේ මම අහන්නේ සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරයා විදිහට මේ මාරාන්තික උපත් ආබාධ තියෙන දරුවන්ගේ කලල විනාශ කිරීම සම්බන්ධ මේක ලෝකේ ගොඩක් රටවල ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන විධික්‍රමයක්. යම් කිසි තීරණයක් ගන්න බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියෙනවද සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශ විදිහට?
ප්‍රජා සෞඛ්‍ය විශේෂඥයින්ගේ
A group of community health specialists recently met with me and proposed a similar idea. We concluded the meeting with the understanding that further discussion is necessary. This is a sensitive issue that requires broader societal dialogue. It cannot be decided abruptly. In addition to scientific considerations, social factors must also be taken into account. At this point, these specialists have submitted their proposal and it remains under consideration.
මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් තිබෙන යෝජනා ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙනවා.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
ඩයබටිසෝල් සීනි වලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
කැලණි වයර් කිසි ගින්නක් නැහැ.
කිසි ගින්නක් නැහැ. කැලණි ෆයර් ෂීල්ඩ් වයර්.
The draft bill on the establishment of a gaming regulatory authority aimed at monitoring activity related to gambling is expected to be published in the Government Gazette and subsequently be presented to Parliament for approval. With that, here's a look at more on this and other cabinet decisions taken during the week.
Boat services are to be introduced covering several areas through inland and marine waterways, aimed at providing an alternative method of passenger transport and supporting Sri Lanka's tourism industry. Boat services are expected to be introduced along coastal routes from Puthalam to Colombo Fort, from Colombo Fort to Galle and from Galle to Mathura. Meanwhile, inland waterways including the Hamilton Canal, Beira Lake, Devannaya and the River Madhu have been identified as suitable for tourism-oriented boat services. Accordingly, government is expected to conduct a feasibility study, after which the transport service will be implemented as a public-private partnership based on the results of the study. Meanwhile, the Central Engineering Consultancy Bureau is expected to provide consultancy to the Ministry of Fisheries, Aquatic and Marine Resources in the project to renovate the Karinagar boatyard. 40 million rupees are to be allocated from the Treasury for the project, which is being implemented under an MOU inked with India. In the meantime, the draft bill on the establishment of a gaming regulatory authority aimed at monitoring activity related to offshore gambling on ships and gambling activity at the port city Colombo, as well as online gambling, is to be published in the Government Gazette and subsequently be presented to Parliament for approval. The drafting of the bill was initially approved on the 24th of February this year and also received clearance from the Attorney General. Meanwhile, the Motor Traffic Act is to be amended with a view to updating the maximum gross weight of an electric three-wheeler to not exceed 650 kilograms, including the battery system, from the previous value of 600 kilograms. The relevant amendment is being made in a bid to address prescription issues faced in line with the registration of electric three-wheelers. In the meantime, the Anti-Corruption Assets and Liabilities Statements Orders 2025, formulated in accordance with the provisions of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 9 of 2023, are expected to be presented to Parliament for approval. The relevant orders were issued in an extraordinary Gazette notification dated 20th March 2025. Meanwhile, a special committee on economic development tasked with supervising policy discussions on economic development is to be appointed by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management. Furthermore, Derana Airport Services Limited is to be awarded the contract for the provision of ground handling services, namely passenger, ground and cargo handling for Sri Lankan Airlines at Melbourne Airport, Australia for the next 3 years at a total estimated cost of $13.1 million Australian dollars.
Now, the Election Commission says all is ready for postal voting for the 2025 local government elections to begin. Postal voting for this year's local government polls is set to commence this Thursday, the 24th of April, and will continue on the 25th, 28th and 29th of this month.
The Election Commission convened a meeting with election observers yesterday with regard to the local government elections.
We emphasized that we plan to deploy nearly 4,000 observers to monitor this election. Selected postal voting centers will be monitored. We informed the Commission that we plan to deploy nearly 3,000 stationary observers and 200 mobile observation vehicles on election day.
Meanwhile, Commissioner General of Elections Samantri Ratnayaka stated that all is ready for postal voting for the upcoming elections.
As of now, postal ballots have been issued for all 339 local authorities. There are 648,495 applicants eligible to cast postal votes for this election. Postal voting will be conducted on the 24th, 25th, 28th and 29th of April at the workplaces of the respective applicants. Around 10,000 police personnel have been deployed for duties related to the exposition of the tooth relic. Postal voting for them will be conducted on all 4 of the aforementioned dates at Girls High School, Kandy.
SLPP parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa claims that all the government has to do with regard to the investigations into the Easter attacks is to question NPP affiliates connected with the incident, one a nationalist candidate who was the father of 2 of the bombers and 2 others who were intelligence officers. Meanwhile, Minister of Plantation and Community Infrastructure Samantha Widyarathna claimed that previously concealed information regarding the attacks is being revealed and added that it will be made public in the future. With that, here's a look at the latest political discourse regarding the investigations into the Easter Sunday attacks.
It has been 6 years since the Easter attacks. We vow to bring everyone connected with this barbaric attack, including the mastermind, before the law and serve justice to the people.
We are waiting because we too want to find the mastermind. We revealed certain facts, but we do not know whether investigations are being conducted into them. The identities of those who occupied Zahran's room before him have been revealed before the courts. Who were the 2 individuals that occupied the room next to Zahran's that disappeared following the bombings? When we questioned the previous government about these matters, we were told they did not bear investigations. We asked the incumbent president, did your investigative teams ascertain these facts?
The president said yesterday that certain confidential details cannot be revealed as they would influence testimonies. However, those who were previously unwilling to divulge information are now willing to do so. The involvement of individuals who weren't previously suspected is now being revealed. The president said this information would be revealed in future. Therefore, it is clear that the law is being enforced.
This is a former report that was tabled in Parliament in February of 2021. It was also forwarded to the Attorney General. If documents pertaining to this report were missing, what did they do with it for 7 months? All that is required is to question Mohammed Ibrahim, who was one of their national list candidates, about who gave instructions to his 2 sons. Alternatively, they can question the 2 security officers who ignored intelligence reports and are now receiving political protection from their government.
Meanwhile, President Anura Dissanayake revealed that 2 of the 6 issues related to the Easter Sunday attacks, which the government had identified, have been resolved. Addressing an NPP public rally in Gampaha today, President Dissanayake went on to say that the government will ensure justice is served to all victims of the Easter attacks, regardless of how much time has elapsed since the tragedy.
Another NPP public rally themed outcome is clear, victory is ours. In view of the impending local government election was held in Gampaha today under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake.
I remember some saying our government will collapse in 3 months. Now they are saying the government will collapse in October. I heard a former president stating we staged a vehicle accident. He has brought trouble upon himself from the Bribery Commission. The Bribery Commission sent him a letter ordering him to be present at the Commission on the 17th in relation to a statement he made. He responded by saying that he cannot be present as he will be celebrating the New Year. Try to understand the mentality behind this statement. Thereafter, the Bribery Commission changed the date to the 25th. I saw media reporting that he stated he is unable to come as his lawyer was out of the country. Who is he playing with? What is he disrespecting? These acts are violating the respect and trust the people have placed in government institutions. It has been 6 years since the Easter Sunday attack. It has been 6 months since we took over power and we have recommenced all investigations. The investigations are yielding positive results. Previously, we have highlighted 6 issues that needed resolving. We have solved 2 of those issues. We have identified who placed the jacket in the Vaunathu incident. The FBI provided us with a EMI number. We have identified the owner of that mobile phone. All mysteries are being gradually solved. We assure you we will serve justice to all. No matter how old the case is, we are committed to ensuring that justice is served to all victims.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa claims that the government's election campaign is based on lies. Addressing an SJB public rally, the opposition leader asserted that the government has failed to live up to the promises they made to the public during the presidential and parliamentary elections.
Another public rally of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya in view of the upcoming local government elections was held in Dondra under the patronage of party leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa.
They are asking for the third part of the mandate, which is the power of villagers. Take a moment to think about whether they did anything to fulfill the promises they made during the presidential and parliamentary elections. I'd like to ask these pathetic liars whether they think that the people of this country cast their vote without proper understanding. We believe that the public will make sure the SJB will emerge victorious in the upcoming local government elections. They are gradually understanding that their campaign based on lies is ineffective.
Welcome back. You're once again joining First at 9 on Other Derana 24. Now in business news, gold prices in the Sri Lankan markets reached the highest levels in history today, impacted by the price surge in the global market. This followed a rally in the global market in which gold prices rose to over $3,500 an ounce, hitting an all-time high.
Gold prices briefly rose above $3,500 per ounce to an all-time high today after US President Donald Trump criticized Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell for not lowering interest rates, rattling investors and increasing demand for the safe haven asset. Gold has risen over 31% so far this year, driven by declining confidence in the US dollar and escalating geopolitical and economic risk. Meanwhile, the dollar index, which measures the strength of the US dollar against a set of currencies, including the euro, fell to its lowest level since 2022 yesterday. Meanwhile, in Sri Lanka, the price of a 24-carat gold sovereign was recorded at 277,000 rupees today, while the price of a 22-carat gold sovereign was 255,000 rupees, marking an all-time high in the Sri Lankan markets. Assistant Director of the Assaying and Hallmarking Division of the National Gem and Jewellery Authority, Indika Bandara, stated that the Colombo gold market expects further gains in gold prices within this month. Accordingly, the price of a 24-carat gold sovereign is predicted to reach 400,000 rupees in the near future.
Now in your stock update, the Colombo Stock Exchange closed in negative territory today as a result of price losses in banking and capital goods counters. The benchmark all-share price index closed 0.3% lower at 15,556, while the more liquid S&P SL20 fell 0.7% to close at 4,589.57. Market turnover was 991.4 million rupees, with the highest contributions from Commercial Bank, Hatton National and Hayleys. The capital goods sector emerged as the top contributor to turnover, followed by banking sector counters. Foreign investors closed as net sellers, offloading shares worth 98 million rupees. And up next is Sarah Rafayadeen from Capital Alliance with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
The domestic stock market rose throughout the previous week. The S&P SL20 increased by 0.68% from 4,614 to 4,624, while the ASPI rose by 0.12% from 5,526 to 5,616. Market turnover decreased by 92% to 1.633 billion rupees. The government raised 62.4 billion rupees last week through treasury bill auctions. The interest rate increased for 6 months bill by 5 basis points, while 3 and 12-month bills remain unchanged.
Welcome back to First at 9. Now, the special exposition of the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha was held for the 5th consecutive day today, with approximately 90,000 devotees gathering in Kandy to attend the exposition. With attendance expected to exceed 100,000 tomorrow, police advise the public to avoid visiting tomorrow and instead pay their respects on a later date for a more peaceful and convenient experience.
Approximately 90,000 devotees were able to venerate the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha today, while those unable to pay homage spent the night on the 3 access routes in hopes of witnessing the sacred tooth relic. The exposition commenced at 11 a.m. this morning. Meanwhile, the dansal organized to provide food for the devotees attending the exposition was successfully held last night as well. Additionally, a team of 30 members of the Public Health Inspectors Union is conducting around-the-clock inspections in and around the city of Kandy. This includes food and drinks provided to devotees as well as sanitation and waste disposal facilities. The queue for differently abled individuals was longer today compared to the previous days. The Sri Lanka Army has prepared a special exit route to reduce congestion within the Temple of the Tooth Relic. Meanwhile, the special public transport service to transport devotees to Kandy from across the island remains operational. Additionally, a special QR code has been displayed near the queues, which devotees can scan to obtain essential information. By scanning the QR code or by accessing the info.sridaladamaligava.lk website, devotees are able to access real-time information on updated announcements, route guidance from several locations, locations of sanitary facilities, charity shops, lost and found services, and access to health facilities.
And that's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.